I want to talk to you. Did you see what just happened with Facebook, Stu, and Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it is, and I'm wondering what is happening here. Beyond the headline. Here it is, just so you know. Mark Zuckerberg announced Tuesday morning that content moderation and other restrictions on speech will be lifted across Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms as Donald Trump returns to the White House. No, wait. Hold on just a second. He did what? So you know, all traffic decline has been as high as 85 to 90% across all Blaze media pages. So when I've said, we've had, and Stu, you probably know the numbers better than I do. We're having more success and a bigger platform, bigger voice than any time in my career in the last 3 years. The show and everything is just on fire. And yet our traffic on social media has declined by 85 to 90%. It's just not possible. There's no way other than we've been severely contained, if you will. I'd like to ask Mark Zuckerberg, where do I go to get my audience back? Where do people have kind of fallen out of the habit. If you get all of your news from Facebook, God forbid, or Instagram, we've been so suppressed. All of a sudden, are we going to pop back up? It'd be interesting to see. By the way, this is why your direct support to BlazeTV means so much. We wouldn't have been able to survive everything if we hadn't built the Blaze and build it the way we did. So thank you for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please do today. So he's ending all of the content moderation. Now, what he did before was to go to places that, they're absolute experts. Like the Southern Poverty Law Center. They know what's going on. The Pointer Institute. They know what's true. And they've decided that they are going to go back to their roots, I'm quoting, and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X. Now, hang on just a second. Wasn't X the most dangerous platform in the world? Weren't those community notes just not enough? The company's third-party fact-checking program was put into place following Trump's first election to manage content and misinformation on its platforms, which executives conceded was a result of political pressure. But now they say they've just gone too far. We went to independent third-party fact-checkers, says the global chief of affairs officer at Meta. It has become clear there's too much political bias in what they choose to fact-check because basically they get to fact-check whatever they see on the platform.
No, it can't be true.
No, it's true.
No, too much bias from the fact-checkers?
Yes.
But they're just checking facts, Glenn.
Yes, I know. Isn't that weird? Now listen to this. I think today's show is kind of based on no, really, the things that are happening now. Wait until next hour. I'm going to tell you a story that is just jaw-dropping in how the world works between you and the elites. Here's a case in this hour. We're talking about Facebook. How does it work between you and the elites? Well, they didn't listen to you. They wanted to shut you up. They went to the elites who were on the winning side last time and said, okay, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to make sure that we're on your side and we can get all that government money and nobody's going to hassle us? What do we need to do? So they did it. and they went to the elite's selection of fact checkers. Now that the world has changed, at least here in America, now they're still not listening to you. This isn't because you said something. This is because Donald Trump has changed America. And now they see the writing on the walls. And so, again, it's not you. It's power. And it's disgusting. The company is ending their fact checkers completely. And it will instead rely on the platform users to flag false or misleading content. Instead of going to some so-called, this is Facebook saying this, instead of going to some so-called expert, it will rely on the community and the people on the platform to provide their own commentary to something that they've read. This is what freedom of speech is. There's no expert that sits around in your in your town that checks everything somebody says and then says, wait a minute. That's untrue. And they have a political bias that it just doesn't happen in real life. But again, let's remember that social media is not real life. But at least it's starting, maybe it will start reflecting it a little bit more, where you have the freedom to say what you think.
Glenn, can we pause on that one point for one quick second?
Sure.
Because Zuckerberg and Elon Musk have a rivalry, right? Like, they were going to have a fight. They were going to do like a cage match a year or two ago. Yeah. There's a rivalry here. For him to come out and say this, he said this on video, Zuckerberg, saying that they would go to not just go to community notes, not just get rid of their fact checkers, but go to the community notes. And as he said, similar to the way X does it. I mean, he actually admitted that basically, like, we tried something, they tried something, theirs is better, we're going with theirs. It's like a tech bro, federalism. That's a good thing, and I think a tough admission for a guy like Mark Zuckerberg. I'm with you in that I think they've run this so poorly, and they have taken companies and content companies and given them this impression that they could advertise to people, gain followers, and then get their content distributed, and then pulled the rug out from underneath them years ago and destroyed dozens and dozens of websites and companies because of it. That being said, this does kind of seem like a good change. Like, I don't know if it's just, Glenn, them kissing Trump's butt and realizing if Trump comes in, he's going to be a different kind of president, and they're in a different environment, and they better change, or they're going to get hammered. Or if it's a real change. But either way, I think it's a positive one.
Well, you know me. I always look for the best in people, honestly.
You do?
I am kind of a poor judge of character because of that, because I see people for who I think they could be, maybe at times, and I kind of look at it like, I think that's who they really are going to be, and they usually disappoint because people don't become the people they could be most times. Instead, they settle for what they are or what they've allowed themselves to become, because they don't have a true center of truth. They don't know who they are and how they relate to all eternal truths. And so they get lost really easily. But when I sat with Zuckerberg, this is more in line with the Zuckerberg that I sat with. However, I think I was, what did we decide, Stu? Greatly conned with Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I don't know. We went back and forth on it, I think. We did. Because I do think there's a part of him that would like to be clear of all of this. Like, yes. I think he has other, large goals in his life other than navigating every political thing that pops up.
So I am so glad you said that. What are his big goals? What does he really want to do? Do you know? What is he focusing on?
I mean, he has gone through several phases, right? The company started going towards the metaverse, right? They changed the company to Meta, couple years ago. That was
That tells you everything you need to know.
Okay.
That tells you everything to know. Meta is all about virtual reality, correct? So virtual reality. Guess who's invested billions of dollars in VR? The United States Army, Navy, and Air Force. All going to virtual reality. Okay? Meta has lost about $50 billion in its Reality Labs division, augmented reality, virtual reality, and the metaverse. So what? What's happening here? I think what this is partially, I mean, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt to some degree, but I think partially what this is about is making sure that the government contracts don't stop with Meta. Make sure that they are able to get some of that money from the United States in the use of VR, because that's where he really, where his heart is. That's what he really wants to do. Now, they lost $50 billion in their reality labs. However, if you look at Facebook's revenue, they're subsidizing all of this stuff. Facebook, the revenue was expected to go up to $100 billion in 2024. Facebook's advertising revenue is now expected to grow over $127 billion by 2027. So that's the cash cow. But where his heart is VR and AR. And he wants to make sure that he's not off the government teat. Otherwise, his real passion is gone. I think that's what's happening. Speculation, but I think that's what's happening.
It's got to be part of it, right? It's got to be part of it. But I wonder and hope that it is more than that. I mean, because I had the same reaction to Elon Musk when he started having this transition of real skepticism. I didn't buy it. I mean, the guy's been like the biggest climate activist in America. Why would we believe all of a sudden he's coming around to these sorts of ideas? Does seem now that that's pretty legitimate from Elon Musk.
Okay.
Could it be legitimate from Zuckerberg? Remember, he did some of this stuff before the election. I mean, he did signal this stuff. He did testimony. He outed some of the government intrusions before the election happened. He called Trump a badass after the assassination attempt.
Correct. He said that was his turning point. Was the assassination attempt. He said that's when he realized, oh, this guy is really a badass. This guy is actually, what he says he is, to some degree, at least according to Mark Zuckerberg. So guess who else is joining Meta now? In another announcement, they've decided that Meta is going to have 3 new members on its board of directors, one of which is Dana White. What do you think of that one, Stu?
I mean, it's fascinating. He's a huge Trump ally, a big Trump supporter, spoke at the convention on Trump's behalf. Now, Zuckerberg is into the sort of UFC stuff, right? That's part of his world. But think of the change. Think of the people being kicked off Facebook. Think of where we were not that long ago with Facebook.
4 years ago, we were we knew we were walking into a bloodbath. We were walking into a buzzsaw. Yeah. And now look at what we're walking into.
Yeah, Glenn, I was thinking back to the book, The History of the Future by Blake Harris. We had him on a bunch of times at the time. It's the story of Palmer Luckey, the guy who invented basically the Oculus Rift and became a MetaQuest. He developed that device in his trailer, and he eventually got bought out by Zuckerberg for $1 billion. Eventually was fired because he gave $10,000 to a group that was putting up an anti-Hillary Clinton billboard.
Right.
And
that's right.
They tried to destroy this guy completely. Now he's in the interim built a $14 billion separate company, so he's pretty much okay. But Palmer Luckey.
Yeah, I wonder if we could even get him on the phone now, because we had him on the show when
we had Blake Harris
on the
show. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
We had the author
right.
of the book.
That's right.
But the story was like, painted a picture of Zuckerberg of like this guy, it struck me like he was like some, Huffington Post blogger running, Facebook and Instagram. This person who we've seen here in the last 24 hours and over the past few months seems like a totally different guy. Whether that's just, self-preservation or it's real, it's better.
Self-preservation. Self-preservation, I think.